4 years ago, the 15th-ranked Aggies faced an upset-minded Tulsa squad, losing by 1 point in what would be the season's only regular season blemish. In this final season of Southwest Conference football, the 1995 Aggies, led by junior sensation and Heisman Trophy frontrunner Leland McElroy, plan a different ending to what they hope will be an eventual national championship season. It's the Aggies against the Golden Hurricane next. And our 12th and final season of bringing you Southwest Conference football here on Raycom. I'm Dave Barnett, and joined again this year by a man who's seen darn near all of those 81 seasons of Southwest Conference history, Grant Taffin. It is good to work with you.
Thank you, Dave. I have not seen all of them, but I've seen my share of them, and there is a lot of excitement about this being the last season, and there is a lot of hope that this could be one of the finest seasons that the conference has ever had.
And if the Aggies have their way, and they think they have the potential to make this happen, this season could produce the first national title in 25 years for the Southwest Conference.
Well, there are a lot of people besides Aggies that would like to see a national championship here in the Southwest Conference in 1995. But the Aggies have the best chance because they start the season rated third in the nation.
And individually, it could produce the 6th Heisman Trophy for this conference. The front runner probably nationally right now would have to be Leland McElroy.
Well, in my 23 years in the Southwest Conference, I've never seen a better back. He has all of the characteristics that any great back has, but he's the kind of individual that makes you want to see him succeed.
4 years ago, another A&M team had some national title hopes dashed by an upset that Tulsa pulled up in Tulsa. And curiously enough, Dave Rader has not paid that much attention to that game this week. He says, as far as he's concerned, it's ancient history.
Well, he'd like to forget about it, but I can tell you for sure that R.C. Slocum hadn't forgotten about it. In 1991, he took a football team very similar to this one up to Tulsa and came back with a 35-34 loss. He's talked about it a lot this week.
On the line again today, the nation's longest home winning streak. It's 27 and counting at Kyle Field, where we return in a moment. Expected at Kyle Field today for the second game of 95 for the Aggies. It's the third game for Dave Rader's Golden Hurricane. They're 1-1, a season-opening loss to Baylor and a win over Oklahoma State, and our Southwest Airlines game plan for Tulsa.
Well, when you're a 4-touchdown underdog, you've got to keep the game close in order to win. The way you keep it close is to minimize McElroy, not let him have a Heisman Championship type of performance. They've got to converge on the football. That's one thing. Defensively, then they've got to make the Aggies throw the football to beat them. Texas A&M, they've got to come into this game and take care of business. They've got to play hard the entire game. They've got to play the mental game, which is important, and that is to adjust to the spread that these guys are going to run from Tulsa and then not lose their intensity. Hunter Goodwin said it best when he said, we got to play 4 full quarters.
Texas A&M will receive the opening kickoff from Tulsa's James Anderson. And Leland McElroy, in recent NCAA history, is without question the standard setter at kickoff returns. Better than 50 yards on only 6 returns last year. He had 3 in the LSU game for an average of 27.
The Aggies have done something that no other team has done. They have led in kickoff returns nationally for 2 years in a row now. One of the things that they'll do down on the field, Dave, is they'll keep Leland and the other return man very close together so that they can determine which way the ball is going to be kicked, because they want Leland to handle the football.
McElroy is on your left, and Sir Parker, the freshman from Los Angeles, is on the far side, and Anderson sends it through McElroy's hands. And he will step back. Looked like he had a knee down in the end zone, but the return takes him out of bounds at the 15-yard line, and apparently that's where they'll give him the return yardage. It really looked like he had a knee in the end zone.
I thought he put his knee down, but I guess he didn't. The official was standing right there, so I guess he didn't do it.
If he says so, he didn't do it. In today's Nations Bank starting lineup for Texas A&M and quarterback Corey Pullig featuring McElroy and Detron Smith, the senior fullback. Albert Cannell getting a start at wideout for Chris Sanders, who has been suspended for this week for failure to attend class. Up front, Calvin Collins, a junior from Beaumont, two-time all-conference at left guard, and switching over to the right side in his junior year. It's a relatively young offensive line for Texas A&M, but they had some encouraging results in their opening win over LSU. Corey Pulig leading all active quarterbacks in the nation in career victories. And he starts off with a completion to Hayward Clay, the tight end, and he's close for a first down at the 25-yard line. On the defensive side, the Nations Bank starters for Tulsa. Cedric Clark already invited to the Senior Bowl. He's from Sugar Land near Houston here in Texas. Kazadi from Zaire played his high school ball in Newton, Kansas, leads the linebacking core. Malcolm Williams, last year's interception leader, a senior from Raymond, Mississippi, the leader in the secondary. Not quite a first down, but this will provide that first down yardage plus about 4 for McElroy with the hit by the weak side linebacker Chris Fowler. McElroy, who in his first college start, and that's rather remarkable that he never started in his first 2 years because he played behind the likes of Greg Hill and Rodney Thomas. But he provided 359 all-purpose yards, 229 rushing yards. On a 100-plus degree day 2 weeks ago, where he seemed to be the only guy impervious to the conditions. Another give, and this time quick reaction by the Tulsa defensive front. About a 2-yard gain. Cornelius Butler, the defensive left tackle, and another Texan on the Golden Hurricane squad from Henderson, was there for the first contact.
Cornelius Butler has played very well in the first 2 ball games. Tulsa is going to try to put at least 7 men close to the line of scrimmage to try to cut down on the run of the Aggies and force them to throw the football.
McElroy is the lone setback and 3 wideouts. And Pulig to the air on second down, and the catch is made by Cannell, who is dragged down shy of the first down by Fowler. About a yard or 2 shy for Cannell, a junior college transfer, originally from Fort Lauderdale, Trinity Valley Community College in Athens, Texas.
The secondary of Tulsa is playing off the receivers. They're a little bit concerned about the outside speed of Texas A&M, and rightly they should be. Therefore, they're giving up the short stuff both over the middle and on the perimeters, and 2 pass completions have found those 2 soft spots.
7-man front for Tulsa. And on 3rd and 2, McElroy bouncing outside where he can't find any room, and he will be shy of the first down.
Actually, they had 9 people very close to the line of scrimmage as they lined up. It was a short yardage play, so they should have had a lot of people there. But that's very important for Tulsa to stop Texas A&M on their first drive, force them to punt. Stay close. That's what they've got to do.
So Sean Terry is on. Senior from Evadale, Texas, ready to kick to Brian Self. And a beauty. Self at the 9-yard line begins his return, and he ends it out of bounds at the 20. 52 yards for Sean Terry and a 10-yard return. As we look at the Nations Bank starting offensive unit for Tulsa, Solomon White is a 1,000-yard running back from Sugar Land. He is a junior. And up front, David Milwee is a senior from Houston who has already been invited to both the Hula and Senior Bowls. There's a strong Texas flavor represented on the Golden Hurricane roster. Troy Degar is the quarterback. Also from Houston, a junior playing with a broken left hand, and White, with a cutback, will carve out about 5 yards near the 25-yard line. The Aggie defensive starters: Brandon Mitchell, a junior from Abbeville, Louisiana, one of the few non-Texans on this Aggie roster. 9 sacks, 22 stops last year behind the line. This is the first college start in just his second game for Dat Nguyen, a native of Vietnam by way of Rockport, and Ray Mickens, the fine senior cornerback from El Paso, heads to secondary. White with the toss, and a bounce outside. 2 or 3 shy of the first down, and some of the finest moves we may see today for a relatively short gain for White.
Typhel McMullen came up in the secondary and made a very important play. He had popped the ball outside and had a chance to make the first down. Typhel reacted, came to the line of scrimmage, and made the stop short of the first down.
So, with still 2 needed, a stack eye for DeGar and the Hurricane on 3rd down. Option keeper and close, but I'm not sure he got it. He needed just across the 30, and he reached the 30, but I don't know that he got across it. Larry Walker with the first hit, 32, inside backer for the Aggies.
He turns it upfield. It's just an option, rollout type option, and it looked like that he got close to the first down, depending on where the ball was, but obviously he didn't make it, so they're going to punt.
Shy by about the length of the ball. 3 and out for Tulsa. Mark DeLozier is the punter. 2 fine efforts by both punters to start this game, and McElroy lets this one hit, or Mickens lets it hit, and it's downed, or is it? They couldn't bring it in, and it just crawled over the goal line. They had a shot at that inside the 2, and it's a touchback, but it's a 71-yard effort for the touchback by DeLozier.
I believe if they'd left the ball alone, it would have died on about the 2-yard line. Looked like the momentum of the guy coming down to try to recover it knocked it into the end zone.
Close for A&M.
About the 1 or 2 yard line.
McElroy, very little room, and a flag at the end of the play. But Tulsa so far doing a good job stringing out Leland McElroy in our first check of the Dr. Pepper Roundup. No problem early for #1 Florida State. NC State next week hosting Baylor. Penn State struggled with Texas Tech, not so far with Temple. Scoreless in Champaign, Illinois in the second quarter. Arkansas surprising Alabama. 10-3 also in the second.
5-yard penalty on the defense. First down.
And a look at the face mask at the end of the tackle of McElroy.
Good pursuit, but you can't grab that face mask. It's a 5-yard penalty. It was ruled that it was unintentional, but you just can't put your hand on it.
Moving Vita Pizzati, middle linebacker. So still first down. They only need 2, and on play action, pull it. Will Keep. Turn back inside, and he'll have another first down at the 38-yard line. Corey Pullig, as successful as he has been through his career, and he is 25-3-1 in the win column. Seems to get overshadowed quite a bit. This year, it's McElroy who is overshadowing him.
He's had a phenomenal career. If the Aggies win this game, he will be the winningest quarterback in the history of Texas A&M, which is no small thing.
McElroy, trouble on the left side, but this time with a burst up the side and another first down into Tulsa territory at the 49. Jeremy Bunch chased him out, but a pickup of 13 yards.
That's typical McElroy. Cut it up inside and then just turn on the accelerator and hit it outside. Yeah. Detron, number 44, is the guy that has been doing a very good job in the first game and in this game with his blocking. It's a team sport.
Detron goes 6 feet 230. Strongest Aggie in their history. 462 pounds record in the bench press this offseason.
Yeah, he weighs 230 as well, and he's a senior, had some good experience, and RC thinks he's about as good a fullback as they've had, and they've had some good ones through the years.
Detron from Lake Highlands High School in Dallas. Actually, another senior for the Aggies, who don't have that many seniors. For a team that has the hopes they have, it's a little surprising to see only a dozen seniors. up and down this roster. Pulig carries out the fake and airs it out, and it's caught by Cannell, who does a nice job hanging on at the 34. 15 yards. Malcolm Williams almost separated Albert Cannell from the ball.
Cedric Clark, who's one of the better defensive players in the nation this year for Tulsa, puts great pressure on the quarterback, but he throws into that soft area. Tulsa's getting back deep. They're giving the inside zones, and A&M's going to complete a lot of passes there today.
That one good for another first. Aggies' first march on their second possession, and they turn it over. Recovered by Chris Fowler for the Golden Hurricane at the 38-yard line.
Pulig takes the ball back. It's just a little lead draw, one that they've been very successful with. Detron's going to block out the tackle coming in, but they don't get a good handle on the ball. That's both the quarterback and the running back's fault. It's their responsibility to make sure that they get the secure handoff. Both of them are responsible.
A rare mistake for Electric Leland and Tulsa. Still scoreless at Kyle Field midway first quarter. To the air and almost intercepted. Ball intended for the F-back, Jason Bennett. Reggie Brown step for step with him, one of the fastest linebackers in the country.
Reggie Brown can stay step with step with just about everybody on that offensive team, including the wide receivers. He's the fastest guy that they've had at linebacker in many years.
And that's saying something.
That is saying a lot, because they have had some outstanding fast linebackers.
Solomon White, and on the short side, lowers the shoulder.
David, let me point out one thing that the viewers will be interested in. Tulsa is not huddling on any play.
This is Ray Mickens, the injured Aggie cornerback.
Well, they can't afford to get any defensive backs hurt, Texas A&M, particularly Ray Mickens, who's a senior. Comes up just a drop of the shoulder, and that is tough contact on the sideline, particularly when Mickens is coming in hard. Running back drops the shoulder. That's tough contact.
And a little bit scary there because he lowered his helmet, and it looked like helmet-on-helmet contact. Mickens is not big, just 177 pounds.
They're calling all the plays at the line of scrimmage.
Slant in is caught, and it will be a first down, and Tulsa reaches Aggie territory for the first time. Michael Kedzior, who had 10 catches, a career high for 139 yards in the victory over Oklahoma State, including the game-winning touchdown with 16 seconds left. Great comeback that came out of nowhere for Dave Rader. They trailed the entire game. They exploded in the last 8 minutes and pulled it out after trailing 23-3. A one-point win over their big rival. Solomon White to the 40, close for a first down. A nice ceiling block that time by Kedzior. Showing some versatility for a wideout.
Andre Williams, who just made the tackle, has not worked out in about 10 days. He was declared healthy on Thursday, and he lined up some yesterday in the right position, and now he's out there in the starting backfield of Texas A&M.
Because of the play where Mickens was shaken up. Aggies do not have depth in the secondary at the moment. Solomon White could have a first down, needed the 39. Dennis Allen made the tackle.
The point that I was making a moment ago, Dave, when I said it's part of A&M's game plan, they've got to play the mental game. And part of the mental game against Tulsa is to be able to line up on the line of scrimmage while Tulsa is calling their plays based on your alignment. They can't make mistakes. They've got to line up properly, and that's part of the mental game that A&M is faced with today.
And if you're wondering if this is just a gimmick going with a no-huddle offense for Tulsa, it is not. They've done this for about 3 or 4 years. What a spin by White, and a flag at the end of the run to regain the line of scrimmage. White has had, I think, his 2 best runs for probably a net of 1 yard on the 2 combined. We might have another face mask.
Edwin Jasper made that tackle. Edwin is known lovingly as Troop around the Aggies. He comes over. He's got a lot of speed for a big guy. Up the face mask, popped the neck right there. And that's why it is illegal to grab the face mask, because the head is underneath that helmet and that neck can be twisted and turned.
And that should be 15 yards, should it not?
Yes.
White, thankfully, okay.
This is not what the Aggies wanted to have happen. For Tulsa to be in this game and driving at this point, and for them to have had a turnover, A&M, that is not what they want to do.
Face mask on the defense. First down.
Big penalty.
The big mark-off to the 23-yard line. White will take a breather for the moment, replaced by Kenny Gunn. Number 5, a senior from Tulsa. Near the 7-minute mark of the first quarter and scoreless at Kyle Field. Turnover by McElroy, giving Tulsa possession, and they are marching. Marshall Gordon spins out of a hit and reaches the 17. And a pickup of about 6 on first down.
Brandon Mitchell is one of the better defensive ends to play for Texas A&M. R.C. said yesterday that he's certainly the best one he's had, I believe, in 7 years, or equal to the best. And he scrambled around, got over and made the tackle.
Gunn remains the setback. Mark Lippy, the F-back, in motion, and Gunn able to get outside with a first down and close to goal to go. They'll mark him right at the 10. Driven out by Donovan Greer. Tulsa marching after the turnover, and it's very quiet at the moment at Kyle Field. They did not expect this.
David, they're coming to line of scrimmage. They're in their formation. They're watching how Texas A&M lines up, and he calls the play to the weakness of the Texas A&M defense. That's why they're able to make some yardage. He's using the advantage of going to their weak side.
Well, they call it first and goal. DeGar driven down by Larry Walker. And he was about a step from perhaps turning that one into 6. But Walker, like all the Aggie linebackers, with great speed, better than 4.4. Hand-timed during the spring.
With a single back set, what they're able to do is put enough receivers on one side to force Texas A&M to roll their defense toward the receivers. Then they're running to the weak side, both with the quarterback on the option keep and the tailback.
Lippy again in motion. White has returned, and Solomon White fights his way to the 3 and is swarmed and driven back from the 3. So after shaking off the face mask injury, Solomon White brings the Hurricane to 3rd and goal at the Aggie 2.5-yard line.
This is a good point. Look at the weakness of the A&M defense. This isn't particular great blocking. What they're doing is picking the weakness and then running to the weakness. A tremendous hold.
Tulsa has used its first timeout of the first half. With 5:07 to go, the first quarter was scoreless, but Tulsa trying to do something about that when we return. Goal at the 2-yard line for the Golden Hurricane, who look to break a scoreless tie. On the roll, DeGar. Chased and incomplete. There were 2 Golden Hurricane receivers in the same neighborhood, and they looked a little confused as to who it was intended for. Kedzior and Gordon were over there, and it looked like Dennis Allen got a hand on it for A&M.
2 receivers are not supposed to be in the same area, so what happens is that somebody ran the wrong route. The big thing was that Texas A&M spread it out. They spread the play out, forced it to the sideline.
So they will settle for 3, they hope. James Anderson with a 20-yard effort is good. Tulsa, after the Leland McElroy turnover, forced to settle for 3, and I wonder how disappointing that is for Dave Rader, who knows that whatever opportunities he gets against this team, he needs to turn into 7.
They needed to capitalize and get 7 points out of that. Not only do they have to stay close, they've got to score some points. Now, one of the things that's happened is last week when they came from behind to knock off Oklahoma State in the last 8 minutes of play, it gave this team some new confidence, and you can see it on the field today.
They don't look like the team that Baylor blew out 37-5. They're up 3-0 at Kyle Field. But again, the McElroy back deep with Sir Parker. 12-play drive covering 59 yards.
I got a feeling Leland McElroy's got fire in his eyes after having the turnover and then almost making a critical error on that first kickoff. You better watch him on this one.
Anderson again kicks his direction. And from 3 yards deep, he manages the 25-yard line. Now, that in itself is a surprise, because almost everybody for the last 2 years has done everything they can to get it anywhere but McElroy's direction.
Well, I tell you, Tulsa's doing a good job on coverage. They're running down very hard. They've got if you'll notice, when they take off from the kick, they're lined up at a different spot so that Texas A&M can't count them off, and it confuses them as to who they're to block. So the coverage has been very good.
Florida State adds 7. Penn State. Glad it's Temple and not Tech they face this week. Can call at the 26-yard line. 1st and 10 on the waggle. Pullig on target. And the catch inbounds at the 43 for Cannell for 17 yards. A nice start for Albert Cannell, playing for the suspended Chris Sanders.
Cannell has great speed. He's got experience. He played in the junior college for 2 years. He, I think, is going to give this Aggie team something that they need, and that is an individual that can take it deep. He's got speed to outrun people, and he's got great hands. I think he's a real asset for this team.
Already today, 3 catches, 37 yards, exactly what he had for the entire LSU game. Detron Smith, and no gain on one of his few carries. Corey Pullig, 4 for 4, and 3 of the catches by Cannell so far. Inside 4.5 minutes, Dave Barnett and Grant Taft from Kyle Field.
Tulsa's worked on their running defense against Baylor 2 weeks ago. The fullback for Baylor made 3 touchdowns and close to 100 yards rushing.
Sean Washington, who you recruited, I think, as a defensive end, didn't you?
Yes.
Pullig. McElroy showing why he is the Heisman frontrunner. Leland McElroy, touchdown, Texas A&M. Yards, and the fumble is forgotten. And the near safety is a distant memory. It's 6-3 Aggies.
Well, I told you he'd come out this series and have some fire in his eyes, but he didn't do it alone. Anytime you have that long a run, his talent plays, but there's someone else that's helping him on that offensive team.
Kyle Bryant on for the extra point. 7-3 Texas A&M. He doesn't need much room, just the slightest seam.
This play is well conceived, and it's set up very well. Calvin Collins comes over and makes the block. That's a real key. And then, of course, the rest of it is Leland McElroy, Heisman candidate.
It was electric. And it's 7-3 Aggies.
There are a lot of reasons we created
Catch and run spectacular. Just under 4 minutes to go, first quarter. You could visibly see how intent he was on making up for those mistakes.
He is an outstanding young man. I enjoyed just visiting with him yesterday. He's so humble and so caring about his team that it just makes you feel good being around him.
With a slight north wind behind him, this kick returned by Gunn from the 5 and upset at the 20. A huge hit by the Aggies' Michael Williams. And Tulsa, trailing for the first time today, will set up just outside their 20-yard line. A&M seeming to have ironed out those special team problems with which they opened the game.
Nickens is back in. Shoulder seems to be okay.
Tedzior going in motion, and the intended receiver on the short toss by DeGar.
This is a low angle on the McElroy touchdown. This is going to be exciting to watch. And just watch his feet and his head as he is watching everything on the field. He's got great peripheral vision. And then here he just explodes and he's into the end zone.
He really made 3 cuts there, and the third was the one that produced 6.
Yep.
Option, DeGar keeping, and a gain of about 3 to the 25. To set up 3rd and long, they'll need about 7 yards.
The defensive staff of Texas A&M and Brandon Mitchell solved that problem right there. They've made a slight adjustment. They've moved their defensive people from a head-up position to a slight shade, and they're moving on the snap of the ball so that he can't really predict where they're going to be. So this is a good move by the defensive staff of Texas A&M.
The defensive coordinator, Phil Bennett, year in, year out, one of the best in the nation on the defensive side of the ball. Tedzior in motion, and a flag on what may be delay of game. Time has run out on the snap clock for Tulsa.
He was reading blitz by Texas A&M. They walked up, showed the blitz.
Foul. Delay of game. Offense.
Showing the blitz caused the quarterback to change his play, and that took too much time.
Dave Rader, former quarterback at Tulsa, played his high school ball just a couple of miles from the campus, and then on to the NFL for a few years, and a very popular figure around there.
He was recruited by a former coach of mine and a great friend, F.A. Dry. F.A. said he was a very cocky young man in high school.
DeGar, excellent protection. And a catch well shy of the first down. A little extra on the tackle by Walker, applied to Tedzior. A little bit of a late wake-up call for A&M, but I think it's been received.
Well, anytime you have a drive against your defense, like the one Tulsa put on in the early part of the first quarter, your folks in the press box and those on the sideline, those defensive coaches start to scramble. There'll be a little meeting on the sideline with the defensive people, and now you see the difference.
High kick and fairly short this time for Delosier. Marked out at the 39-yard line. Not much of a kick after an excellent effort his first time. And the Aggies start with pretty good field position after just a 33-yarder.
This is a very good position play by Texas A&M, defensive back, good coverage, converging on the ball. And then here the guys are celebrating in the right way. There's new rules this year, and this Texas A&M team is doing it right because R.C. Slocum was on the task force that made the decision as to how the rules were going to be against celebration.
And you were at the forefront of that, too, in your other capacity as executive director of the American Football Coaches Association, and I want to get your thoughts on the development of those rules and how they've been received. This is about 4 or 5 for McElroy on first down.
Well, it's been received very, very positively because our coaches across the country were behind it. They pushed hard for it. The Football Rules Committee of the NCAA did a great job in saying we're going to even-handedly across the nation for the first time have officiating where everybody will be on the same page. These are rules that have been on the books for 7 and 8 years, David, and they're now being even-handedly officiated, and also the emphasis is placed on team, not on the individual.
Bullock, short drop, and nicely caught by McElroy. It looked like it was too tall, and he stayed after it and brought it in, and he's close for a first down. In fact, he'll have the first down at midfield.
Amazing. This is a great picture. First of all, good protection. Secondly, a very good throw, slightly over the head. He tips the ball, keeps his eye on the ball, and pulls it in.
Just battled it.
Yep.
You make a good point. A lot of people think it's rule changes that have eliminated the individualism. They've been on the books for years, but never enforced.
That's right.
Offset eye, play action. Bullock has a wide open Cannell. Inside the 10, first and goal. 41 yards, Jeremy Bunch prevented 6. A huge first quarter for Albert Cannell.
This is a greatly conceived play. It's a bootleg off of a fake to the left side. Wide receiver comes down, cuts to the inside, and is wide open in the middle. They're either going with the fake or they're coming back with the quarterback on the counter flow.
For Cannell, his 4th catch, 77 yards. Pulling has not missed. He's 7 of 7. Leland McElroy is tripped, keeps his balance, and reaches the 8. One of his many attributes, the agility, which allowed him to avoid losing yardage that time. He almost took a knee in the backfield.
He hung his toe on the AstroTurf, and probably by this time next year, he won't be hanging a toe on the Aggie AstroTurf. They're going to natural grass, and that seems to be the trend. 18 out of the top 20 schools in the nation now have gone to natural grass.
A welcome change expected next year here at Kyle Field. To the end zone, and the first incompletion, but it's going to be interference. In fact, you could get 2 different interference calls on Danny McCray. Malcolm Williams there for one of them, and McCray shaken up in the back of the end zone.
The injured A&M player number 2, Danny McCray.
Well, we got a lot of air under that one, and it gave the defenders time to get a running start at McCray.
You know, one of the things about Texas A&M this year is they are going to have to keep some people healthy, and this young man is one that they need to keep healthy. He, about 2 or 3 years ago, coming out of high school, was the fastest young man in Texas and may have been in the country. He has great speed. A lot of people didn't think he would be a tough enough guy to play receiver, but he's turned out to be an excellent receiver for Texas A&M. And I know everybody's hoping that he can get up and...
got a personal foul on the defense. First down.
Well, let's listen to what Danny McCray felt.
That you could almost feel that one, not only hear it.
And McCray shaking it off. Slocum pays him the compliment by saying he has really worked to become not just a track guy in a football uniform. He's now a football player who also runs track. Markoff will set it up at the 4, first and goal. And the Aggies looking to add to a 7-3 lead. 36 seconds in the first quarter. Double tight ends, Matt Mahone on the left side, Hayward Clay is on the right side, and Mahone goes in motion. As McElroy slants off tackle inside the 1 on what should be the final play of the first quarter.
Detron Smith, watch him come off the football, driving as hard as he can, lowers his shoulder, hits the guy straight on and knocks him flat of his back. That's called a pancake in coaching circles. Players love to look at film on that and yell and holler when their teammates gets a pancake on some defensive player.
A&M calls time because they have the wind at their back as if they need it. 1 yard out. Apparently they feel they do, and so with 3 seconds in the first quarter, they use their first timeout. Our telecast today, copyrighted presentation of Tulsa, Texas A&M, the Southwest Conference, and Raycom Incorporated, intended solely for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of the video or audio portions of this program without prior written consent is forbidden. About an hour before kickoff, the fans got a real break because the wind shifted from the south to the north, and hopefully that will keep it somewhat comfortable today. It's not a big breeze, but at least it's not 100 plus the way it was against LSU 2 weeks ago.
Tulsa, with a 60-man travel squad, has to be concerned about the heat down here in Texas, and particularly the humidity that we had earlier today. So this wind will be a welcome sight for Dave Rader and for his team. You just have to really have a group of individuals that are extremely well conditioned to hold up against the depth that a Texas A&M will have going into the third and the fourth quarter. That's why at the outset it was said you got to stay close so that you got a chance to win.
Quarter on 2nd and goal from the 1. McElroy with flags down, high steps into the end zone, but there appeared to be movement along the line before the snap. And it appeared to be against Tulsa. Some of the Aggies starting to already celebrate.
On the defense, penalty is declined. Touchdown.
And correctly so. Touchdown stands.
You can see the movement of the defensive end as he steps across prior to the snap of the ball. Entering the neutral zone is a 5-yard penalty. And, of course, it was refused because the Aggies love those touchdowns.
Leland McElroy has his second of the day. Bryant for the Stormy Case is the holder. And at the end of the first quarter, 14-3 for heavily favored Texas A&M. A 29-point pick coming into this game as the number 3 team in both polls. Back at Kyle Field in a moment. It up with a 42-point half, still scoreless. Two of the better defenses in the country, Arizona and Illinois. Alabama from behind with a pair of scores and up by 7.
Dave, our sympathy goes out to the Arizona football team and their coaching staff. They lost one of their players. His funeral is today, and Coach Comey is attending the funeral. He will not be at the game. So it's been a tough week for those folks, and everybody sends their sympathy and their love.
Short kick, fair caught. Yes, you can fair catch a kickoff at the 18-yard line. Brought in by Adonis Pyle for Tulsa. And they'll start without the best of field position. You'll notice the cast on the left hand of Troy Degarb. He broke a bone in it in their opener against Baylor. He had surgery on it the day after. So a little bit less than 2 weeks later, after struggling against Oklahoma State, they sat him down, they put him back in, and he pulled off the miracle rally and has gone all the way at quarterback here in their third game tonight. Kenny Gunn, the backup at tailback, driven down, maybe 2, if that, on the hit by Larry Walker. Mickens up for run support. Walker Jr. from Rusk, Texas, their second.
Larry Walker's got great position here. Watch him shed the block, keep his feet parallel, and then make the tackle. He's a solid football player.
73 tackles last year, second on the team. It's not that many, but think about all the third and fourth quarters that the starters sit for A&M. Sometimes the stats tend to suffer. Flag is down as Gunn is driven out at 25.
Legal crackback, 83 white, split end, 83 white crackback before the ball is caught.
83 would be Marshall Gordon.
Illegal block. Offense.
They stunned Dave Rader.
Okay, excuse me. That's 15-yard penalty, right? All right, come here, son.
I'm not sure Mike Stanley realizes
okay, you got 15-yard penalty.
still got his mic on.
From this spot,
No,
right
he
here.
doesn't realize
Move it
he's
back
got
and
it on.
repeat the down. Okay, you're inside the 30.
That could be dangerous.
Right? So we go half the distance.
Okay, it's from the...
Into the run, which is the 25.
We're getting a view that you don't normally get, so let's just listen.
Gary, blocks on the end of the run. Blocks at the end of the run. On the end of the run.
Ah, finally a buddy over to... Maybe just in the nick of time.
Got an illegal crackback block on the offense. Second down.
This is, by the way, a split officiating crew from the Southwest and the WAC. And you'll notice that Tulsa already wearing the WAC patches on their jerseys. They will head to the Western Athletic Conference next year.
You saw the block just inside the left side of the picture. It was a too low block. You can't block below the waist.
Kenny Gunn reaches the original line of scrimmage and maybe a yard more. Mickens and Brown here to combine on the tackle of Kenny Gunn, a senior from Tulsa. Rader does a good job recruiting people just like he was. Local high school products to stay in town and play their college ball. This is a relatively short series. It's just the 7th meeting. A&M leads 4-2. They have split the last two. The Tulsa upset at 91. A&M with revenge on their mind the next year, won by only 10 after trailing much of the way. And a sack by Brown back at the 10. His first career sack, Grant. He's been the drop linebacker in their scheme, which means he drops back into coverage more than he blitzes.
Defensively, A&M has a scheme that when they go to no back set, they're going to put a lot of pressure on him because DeGar is not a good runner. So they're going to walk up on the outside receivers and put pressure. That means they're going to bring that linebacker that's been normally covering in the flat.
Off the side of the foot, Delosier gets a favorable bounce, but on the run picked up by Mickens. And the Aggies will start with a flag down at the Tulsa 48-yard line pending the indication. 43-yard kick with the roll for Delosier. Roy by himself has rushed for 28, 64 through the air, a touchdown both ways, and Pullig has yet to miss. 7-7.
Missed in the end zone, but got a penalty.
After the mark-off, A&M from their 42. Reggie Brown, according to R.C. Slocum, he may not have the big stats that a lot of linebackers leave this program with, but he thinks he will have as long an NFL career as anybody who's left here. McElroy for the halfback pass. Batted away, very short, intended for Cannell, and defended well by Jeremy Bunch, the safety. Well, we may have found something that Leland McElroy can't do perfectly.
Well, there could have been an interference call here. Watch the left hand of the defensive back. He was on the back of the receiver. Officials didn't see it, but that could have been interference.
McElroy looked like he let that one go off the wrong foot, but on the other hand, that's not why he got his scholarship to throw the ball here. This is why he's here. First down to the Tulsa 45. Back to what he knows best, 13 yards. When you think about the people he played behind, it's really remarkable. This is just his second career start in his third year at A&M.
Hey, that's a very good play. What they do is it's a draw action, and they come back, hand the ball. He takes a step to his right. They pull the right guard, and have real pressure on the weak side. And with his ability to run, that's going to be yardage every time they run it.
First down and early movement. The left tackle, Cornelius Coco Butler, wants to be known as Cornelius. this year. Former Texas discus champion at Henderson High School. Stay with us. Grant and I will announce the Dodge player of the game at the conclusion of our telecast today.
Cornelius anticipated the snap count, and he was wrong.
I've got a dead ball foul. Offside. Defense.
Move it up 5. R.C. Slocum says when he was recruiting Leland McElroy, he never once asked about the fact that he already had Greg Hill, who became a first-rounder, already had Rodney Thomas, who became a third-round pick by the Houston Oilers this past year. He just assumed that with his native confidence that at some point he'd get his chance, and that's all he asked for. To the right side, and well defended that time by a committee.
Good secure tackle.
Mudianvita Kazadi, a native of Zaire.
This is probably the most international game I've ever witnessed. We have 2 young men from Africa that are playing for Tulsa. Let's see, we have one from Vietnam playing for the Texas Aggies, and there's one more. Who was that?
From Tonga.
Tonga.
Also for A&M.
International contest.
On the delay, a first down. And a fumble after the whistle. They had already marked McElroy dead at the 31-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10.
That play is Texas A&M's favorite play. It's a straight drop-back draw effect to Leland McElroy with the leading of the big fullback. Lets Leland pick the hole. You'll watch him. He goes back, takes it. Now watch Leland. He's looking for the hole. He's not anywhere close to where the fullback was going to block. He cuts it outside, but that's the design of the play, using his talent and ability.
Good contrast in that aspect of his running with Rodney Thomas. Thomas would lower his head and run over people, and McElroy looks for the opening. Ball is caught by Hayward's play for a touchdown. Yards for the tight end. 20-3.
Pulig has the eye on the tight end all the way. He's been open underneath, and he's going to sprint into the end zone. Now watch this. If we carry it all the way, this guy grabs his teammates, and he has a team celebration. He's not running around saying, "Look what I did."
Case to hold again for Bryant, who again is good. 21-3. Aggies who trailed early with their 3rd consecutive score. And a sweet one for the tight end. Tight end doesn't catch that many touchdown passes in the Aggie scheme, but Clay has one.
What do you get when you fly?
Scoring drive of the day for Texas A&M. Didn't take long, less than 2 minutes. Roy Pulig's 2nd touchdown pass. And this is Ryan Pillins, a freshman from Bryant, the kickoff specialist. Ready to kick deep to either Jason Jacoby or Kenny Gunn. Watch it sail out of bounds with the flag. And Tulsa will be able to start from the 35-yard line.
That's a pretty good penalty when you think about it, kicking that ball out of bounds. It gives the offense great field position when you can take the ball on the 35. It's usually a 15-yard penalty is what you think of.
Got a free kick out of bounds on the kicking team. Penalty is declined. First down.
That's one move they went to several years ago to help speed up the game. There are some others they could start to adopt, but so far have chosen not to in college football. That one helps, though. Egar intended for Solomon White, and he laid it out just a little bit too far in front of him. Now, if you're Tulsa, you're realizing your worst nightmare. Had a good start, had an early lead, had A&M back on their heels a bit, not really looking like A&M, and now that is all a rather distant memory at the moment for Dave Rader. What now? How does he get back in this game?
Well, they've got to get a big play. There's no question about it. They've got to maintain possession of the football now that they have it. Get points on the board. That's a must. That's a must. You've got to do that, but not like that.
Egar driven out on the option keeper by Philip Myers. Larry Walker's back up at inside linebacker. Some Galveston ball, a sophomore. The 12th man, as always, on their feet. Longest standing ovation every time they play at Kyle Field. They're hoping that maybe not only will they have grass here next year, but maybe in a couple of years they might reconfigure the end zone to the left and add about 10,000 seats in the process and turn this into really one of the premier facilities in college football. Bring it up to 80,000. Intercepted. Ray Mickens with a block inside the 20-yard line. A return of yards, and Ray Mickens has A&M set up to add to an 18-point
Ray
lead.
Mickens read it all the way. He watched the quarterback. Quarterback was late getting there. It was like shooting fish in a rain barrel. Just step in front of it, take the ball, and head for the end zone. Pushed out of bounds. Pretty good runner.
Dave Rader says that one was not in our game plan.
Nope.
Mickens shaking off the early injury, which occurred on a tackle of Solomon White in the first quarter. At the 15-yard line, Tulsa gets it right back. They force their second turnover. And McElroy not believing what has happened to him in this first half.
That wasn't in the Aggies' game plan either, I can tell you right now. They wanted to put 7 more on that board and turn the lights out on this group from Tulsa, but when you give them a chance now, they still got a chance.
Ryan Self, the safety, with the takeaway for Tulsa, and a huge turnaround by the Hurricane defense. McElroy discussing his second turnover with R.C. Slocum. He does have 2 touchdowns, however, to make up for it. But it remains 21-3 A&M. From the 15, Egar again trying the option, and again, it's just not there. Edward Jasper, the nose guard, following Egar all the way down the line.
Egar is not a prototype quarterback for the option. What they want to try to do is catch you in a defense where they have 1 man more than you do, and that way he doesn't have to run the football. He can pitch it out, get the ball outside to the running back.
Loss of 1, second down, 11. 3 wideouts and a blitz look. Caught by Gordon. Breaks the tackle, and a nice pickup to the 22. Trent Driver, who was supplanted as the starting inside linebacker by Dat Wynn, who got his first college start this week. As Phil Bennett starts to filter in some backups. 3rd down and 4. There's Driver. He started against LSU, sophomore from Cleveland, Texas. Solomon White, short of the first. Looked for room that just wasn't there. Jasper again on the tackle. And a quick 3 and out for Tulsa after the turnover. Just what the Aggie defense needed to do after the offense had coughed it up. Great numbers for Delozier thanks to the 71-yarder. This one very short and off his instep, and again, great field position for Texas A&M. They will mark it at the 49 of the Golden Hurricane, just 26 yards off the side of the foot. Now that gentleman introduced, I know, you to Southwest Conference football and your entire generation and generations after you for years and years.
His voice was so much a part of the Southwest Conference that he became synonymous with the Southwest Conference. I was laying in front of a radio in Texas when I was a junior in high school and heard him describe a Southwest Conference game. I got up and told my mama, I want to be a head coach in the Southwest Conference.
Instantaneously, he made up your mind for it, man.
He made it exciting.
Rolligus sack. A coverage sack. Nobody open that time. Cedric Clark, outstanding defensive end, the senior from Sugar Land. 8 sacks a year ago to lead Tulsa. Last week against the Cowboys. 6 tackles, 2 behind the line, and a fumble recovered. Offensively, as has already been the case on defense, a lot of second-teamers starting to find their way into the lineup already with 6:40 still to go in the first half with a 21-3 ball game. Gene Lowry, he makes the catch. He's shy of the first down. He broke off the pattern about 1 yard before he needed to for the first.
Wide receiver's #1 responsibility is to know where the first down marker is. He's got to run the route deep enough so that when the ball is thrown, he'll make the first down. What he did, he ran the route perfectly, but then watch him push off and come back. Now, part of that, the ball was thrown inside, but he's got to make the quarterback throw the ball to him.
And not much discussion needed here. They'll go for it on 4th down. They need the 39 to give us to Detron Smith. I don't know. I think he got it, but it took 2nd and 3rd effort to get past the marker, and he did, and it is first down Aggie.
That's a load coming up in there, 230 pounds, and bench press half the stadium. When he hits up in there, he runs with some authority. Watch his legs drive. Now, the offensive linemen, a couple of them got whipped in there, but old Detron just said, you're not stopping me. I'm getting my first down.
Pizzotti and Jacoby hanging on for dear life. Just enough for Detron. McElroy also back in after a breather to the 22 and another first. Jeremy Bunch prevents 6 more on what might have turned into his 3rd touchdown of this first half.
It's a low-level shot that gives you a good shot of the offensive lineman. It's that same draw play. Give it to Leland, let him find a hole, knock somebody out of the way, or just tie him up, and he'll do the rest. Typical Leland McElroy run.
And you see already 15 carries. Slocum said before the year he better get ready for 30, 35 carries every week. And about a game and a half into their schedule so far, he's been true to his word. That time short yardage for Smith. Well, if he can handle 35 carries when it's 120 on the AstroTurf as it was in their opener.
You know, the thing, I watched that video, and he got stronger as the game went on, and as hot as it was, and that, of course, is a great mark for an individual running back or any player. If you can go for 4 quarters and get stronger at the end of 4 quarters, there's something to you.
Danny McCray, who was shaken up earlier, back in wide left. Fuller looking the other way, and wide open for the catch inside the 10-yard line is Mark Broyles with a flag down back in the backfield. Broyles, a true freshman from Tyler. John Tyler goes for 17, pending the outcome of the flag.
He's bigger than Detron. He weighs 235 and a true freshman. He was a member of a great football team, high school team last year, one of 4 or 5 guys that are going to be playing in the Southwest Conference off that team.
John Tyler, 16-0, the Division II Class 5A champions last year.
On the offense, 10-yard penalty, second down.
But his first collegiate catch is wiped out because of holding. And the ball back at the 33. We're 2nd and 20. Clock rolling down to 5 minutes in the first half. Lowry comes left. 3 wideouts on the right side are both Cannell and McCray, and the lone setback is McElroy, and again moving before the snap is Cornelius Butler. And a brief set to among the linemen. That's at least the second time that Butler's been caught trying to anticipate the snap count. The Ford Southwest Conference updates for this week. SMU's Craig Swan, National Defensive Player of the Week from Sports Illustrated. 20 tackles in their surprising opening win over Arkansas 17-14. Then they lost to Navy last week. Mike Adams opened against Hawaii after laying off almost last year. 5 catches, almost 100 yards. Texas with an easy 38-17 win. For Baylor, Khalif Muhammad, 7 catches, 138 yards in their opener against Tulsa. They host Mississippi State tonight. Texas Tech against Missouri, first meeting ever. Tech trying to shake off the disappointment from last week's 1-point loss at Penn State. Yancey Edmonds, 15 yards per carry. Are you kidding me? Well, that's a shutout winner in their opener against Nevada, Las Vegas. Pulling is inside the 20, and Tulsa is lucky he didn't take that all the way, because out of their 11 defenders, Grant, 9 of them didn't move a muscle.
Quarterback and the center have been coached that when someone steps in the neutral zone, the center's going to snap it. Nobody else moves, and then the quarterback is going to take the football and go with it, because you got 2 options. One, you're going to get a penalty on the defense of Tulsa, or you're going to make big yards or a touchdown.
And that play stands.
Yep, good job.
And for TCU, Max Nockey, the TCU career record holder now, 41 touchdown passes as he surpasses Sammy Baugh against Kansas Thursday night. McElroy with his 3rd touchdown of the first half. 19 yards for Leland McElroy. And it's 27-3. The one block he needed came from Danny McCray. And Leland did the rest himself.
Particularly pay attention to the cut down on about the 4-yard line when he gets the ball out in the flat. A defender has him zeroed in the sideline, and Leland makes the cut.
Bryant 4 for 4 on the PATs. McElroy keeps him busy in this first half.
Swing pass, well executed. Leland takes it on the run. Now watch him as he gets down close to the goal line. Here they come, him and him in. Now watch this move. That's a lateral jump. He just jumped sideways.
3 first-half scores for the Heisman hopeful. 28-3 A&M. And he's near a single-game record. Dillon's bouncer fielded at the 20. And doing well to reach the 25-yard line was Asher Ladner for Tulsa. Well, McElroy following the footsteps of people like Darren Lewis, Greg Hill, Rodney Thomas, all great backs of the last 4 or 5 years in the A&M program. And we asked R.C. Slocum how he would compare McElroy to those 3.
Well, I'd say that Leland has, if you took the outstanding attributes of each of those backs and combine all of those into one package, that's what Leland is. He's as fast as any of those young men you mentioned. He has the balance, the strength, the elusiveness, the vision, the whole package. He's got it all.
That's saying a whole lot. That carry by Solomon White. Stop made by Walker. McElroy bided his time. Didn't complain when he was listed 3rd team each of the last 2 years. And they're already starting to anticipate the onslaught of pressure, Grant, that he'll face at the end of this year if he has the type season that it looks like he's going to have to go pro.
He's got a great family. He's got great leadership within his family. His father and mother are very strong role models to him. He's got an older brother that's an athletic director, and they've given him great advice through the years. And I would say that, you know, when it comes time, if he accomplishes all that he wants to accomplish, then they'll all sit down as a family and realistically look at it. But he's a youngster that's going to do what's best for this team first and foremost.
Tulsa first down on White's carry. 2:53 to go first half. They led 3-0. They've given up 4 straight scores. And even the completions don't go for much. Gordon brought down after maybe 2 by Reggie Brown.
That's scary throwing in that crowd in there. You've got linebackers, you got defensive backs ready to take the ball if it's tipped up. You know what has happened here is the Texas A&M defense has now begun to take hold of the line of scrimmage. They're in control now. The secondary is playing real tight on the receiver, so they're just having a hard time throwing the ball.
And running it. Solomon coughs it up, and on his back making the recovery for A&M is Reggie Brown. A look what I found takeaway for the senior from Austin. Just hanging around in the right place, and good things happen.
He nearly carried it too far. He's got to give the ball to the official or else lay it down where the end of the play was, and in his excitement, he did turn again and throw it back. This is good, solid defense for the Aggies, but the ball is lost, and it just pops right into his arm.
Well, actually, that's a great angle showing how it was lost. He caused it and recovered.
Yep.
And he got it on his back, but it's because he ripped it free. So that's the ultimate for a linebacker.
But it was great to see him turn and throw that ball back to the official to stay within the rules.
There's the record that Pulig has come close to. This to tie it is complete to Detron Smith, and that's 11 for 11 through the air for Corey Pulig. Lance Pavlis in 1989 set that record of 11 straight completions against Texas Tech out in Lubbock.
Corey Pulig has been an outstanding player for Texas A&M. Sort of quiet. You hear a lot about him, but all he does is win game after game after game. Look at their home record, 27 straight victories here at home. Look at their Southwest Conference record, hadn't lost one in about 3 years. And today, if this team wins for him, and it looks like they will, he will hold the record for the most wins of any quarterback in the history of Texas A&M.
Short gain out of bounds by McElroy, and in fact, again projecting here, if they have the unbeaten season that they're shooting for, he will finish his career as not only the winningest quarterback in A&M history, but the all-time winningest quarterback in collegiate history. Chuck Ely of Toledo. They had a 35-0 run, 1969 to 1971. Currently holds that mark, but if he gets 11, he will finish as the winningest quarterback anyone has ever had. McElroy to the 23. The clock goes under 2 minutes.
Well, there's a long road ahead for the Aggies, and it begins next week up in Colorado. It's not going to be an easy season. They play some really good football teams, and they're going to have to be at their best, but they've got a national ranking, and they're being looked at as a national champion potential, and that inspires your team and your coaching staff, and I think they've got a chance. They've got a lot of tools if they can stay healthy.
On 3rd and 6, Pulig out of the shotgun. This for the record, and he won't get it. He put it right in the hands of Danny McCray, and he'll have to settle for tying Lance Pavlis' mark of 11 straight completions. Through no fault of his own, he finally has his first miss of the game. You know, if there were people who had questions about A&M, a lot of them had questions about the quarterback spot, because he has not been spectacular through his career. He's been kind of a get-the-job-done type quarterback, but today he has been every bit of spectacular.
That Arizona-Illinois game is amazing. It's still 0-0 in the third quarter.
Bryant from 41 yards out, and he nails it. 3 more just for good measure. The minute 21 still to go in the first half. 31-3 Aggies. Aren't they chapped yet? That's 31 straight points. Yep. They're just warming up down there, though. Arkansas continues to give Alabama a run, down by 9. Virginia trailed that game early. They put 21 straight on the board. Nebraska minus Lawrence Phillips this week, up by 7, as is Colorado. They'll warm up for A&M next week in Boulder. Well, so much for looking ahead. That had to be a legitimate concern of the A&M coaches, I think, with a 29-point favored team this week, looking ahead to Colorado next week, but it hasn't happened.
Well, they've taken care of business. They came into this game. They've been able to maintain their intensity, bounced back after Tulsa had a drive and scored, took the lead 3-0. And since that time, they have more than taken care of business, both offensively and defensively.
Dillon's keeping his kicks very low. Hard time finding the handle, and if they did indeed get it, they'll settle for the 20-yard line. And Ladner almost coughed that one up. Asher Ladner finally with the recovery. Coming up at halftime, we'll look at the Fightin' Aggie Band. We'll chat with the athletic director here at A&M, Wally Groff, on some of the upcoming facilities being built and upgraded on the campus. And look at first half highlights. Kenny Gunn not able to get around Ray Mickens. Does stop the clock at 1:11 to go, second quarter. It's the worst of all possible worlds for Troy Degar, because they're stopping the run and they know he's got to pass. So they're laying their ears back and coming after him with everybody.
He's not a great scrambler, doesn't have a lot of speed or agility, and so he's got to throw the ball, and to throw it under duress and pressure is pretty difficult.
Gunn with the extra leg drive will have first down yardage. Stopping it at 106 to move the chains up to the 32-yard line. Tulsa's had only one offensive series go longer than 4 plays in 8 drives.
The wrecking crew is wrecking.
And that's keeping the Tulsa defense out there an awful long time. Gunn with his 3rd consecutive carry. Donovan Greer keeps him in bounds and keeps the clock rolling under 40 seconds.
Dave, Tulsa's getting tired. They're going to need some rest at halftime to come back and fight again in the second half. But you can see the air has gone out of their sails. And, of course, Dave Rader will do a great job at halftime. He's an excellent young coach. But this football team is tired, and they are concerned about what's going to happen in the second half. He's got his work cut out at halftime.
Well, and for the moment, it looks like he's lost his backup running back. Kenny Gunn tried to make it back to the huddle and collapsed at the 33-yard line, but as you can see, has made his way back to his feet and isn't limping, so that's a good sign, but he will head out and be replaced by Solomon White.
The way he was running, it looked like he's tired. When he came toward the sideline then, he dropped his inside shoulder, didn't try to make a cut, and just took the hit, and that's usually an indication the guy's beginning to tire.
Gunn missed 7 games last year with an ankle problem, giving White a chance to take over, and he became a 1,000-yard rusher as a sophomore. By 3 yards, he finished with 1,003. White. Greer again steering him away from the sideline to keep the clock rolling. They'll stop it long enough to move the chains again for a first down, but only 11 seconds to go. first half. All A&M since a rather ragged beginning.
Number 95 for Tulsa did a good job getting over to the play, the point of attack. Also at the perimeter, they had an excellent block that allowed the running back to get on the outside.
95 being Tony Fisher, the tight end. Timeout called. 44. Marshall Gordon in motion. Egar tripped as he emerges from center. They have one more timeout if they want to use it. They don't want to use it, and that will end the first half, dominated by the Aggies after trailing 3-0. They weren't perfect out of the gate, but they got things very much in order and ran off 31 unanswered points. 3 touchdown passes by Pulig, 3 touchdowns by Leland McElroy. 31-3, Texas A&M at halftime in College Station, Texas. McCray, after he had tied the school record of 11 straight without a miss, and team-wise, they rushed for 92, most of it through the air. 314 total yards to 106 by Tulsa. 6 penalties also hurting the Hurricane, and as usual, time of possession, a very misleading first half statistic.
When you score quickly, those possession statistics can be very, very misleading, and Texas A&M has scored quickly without too many long drives.
We revisit the Southwest Airlines game plan for Tulsa. What must happen for them in the second half?
Only one thing can happen if they have a chance. That is that they've got to take this ensuing kickoff and drive it the length of the field and put points on the board and get themselves back in the game. That is a must. And, of course, Texas A&M, they just need to reestablish the control that they gained in the second quarter and part of the first quarter. And they'll have to do that by this defense coming out, shutting Tulsa down, getting the offense on the field, and getting more points on the board. Then they're in control again.
Well, 4 years ago, it was not quite this much of a runaway, but it was 28-10 at the half at Scully Stadium in Tulsa. And then the A&M quarterback, Jeff Granger, had a turnover on the very first play of the third quarter. And from that point on, Tulsa was a different team, and they came back. And on a long pass from T.J. Ruber to Chris Penn, who are both in the NFL now, they won it 35-34. So they have pleasant memories and similar hopes for this second half. This return by Jason Jacoby goes 29 yards, and the Golden Hurricane will begin play in the third quarter at the 33-yard line.
The Tulsa kickoff return team did their share of trying to establish some momentum, and now we'll see if the offense under Gagar can pick it up and go with it.
Gagar in the first half, 6 out of 11, 36 yards. Solomon White. Well, he'll get past one wave, and there's 2 others waiting for him. Some of his best moves have been expended just trying to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Larry Walker making a very good play and leading that wrecking crew over to the point of attack.
Walker with another year here in Aggieland, a junior from Rusk. In fact, the only senior among the linebackers is Reggie Brown. That Wynn, who got a start today, is a freshman. Keith Mitchell on the outside, a junior, like Walker. Short roll and intercepted again by Mickens. This one might come back for 6. Ray Mickens up the sideline for a touchdown. .29 yards with his second pick of the afternoon. Well, as in 91, an early third quarter turnover, but the difference is it turns into points for the Aggies.
I would say that's regaining control.
got a clip, 15-yard penalty on the maroon during the run back. First down.
Well, strike the touchdown on what was a 51-yard return by Mickens. Flag was thrown at the tail end of the run around the 10-yard line.
Never block behind the ball. That's the first cardinal rule of any interception or kick return. Never block behind the ball.
Probably R.C. Slocum making that very point.
No doubt about it.
So from the 25, Bullock remains the quarterback and McElroy the tailback with a cutback and about 3 or 4 yards near the 20. McElroy in the first half, 3 catches, 83 yards, and 2 of them went for touchdowns. And on the ground, he was even busier, 17 carries for 70 yards and 1 touchdown.
Cedric Clark still making big plays for Tulsa. He's a sort of a one-man gang out there, but he sure is an excellent football player.
Kazadi, the injured Hurricane linebacker. 2 years in a row, their leading tackler. We'll check on him along the sideline. His backup is from here in College Station, Jimmy Zoon, a redshirt freshman from A&M Consolidated High School, number 60. 2nd and 6, fake draw, and the first incompletion that Pullick has really earned today. That was the first time that it wasn't really near the intended receiver, McCray. So he's a mere 11 of 13, and it'll be Corey Pullick, a starter very early in his career, and they've really branched out the responsibilities that they've placed on him. As a freshman and even as a sophomore, they tended to tell him, look, just figure out where you want to go. Don't worry about looking off your primary receiver. Don't check off, zero in, and go right at it. He's become very adept at looking 2 and 3, sometimes 4 places for a receiver. In this case, Cannell. Flag is down. Cannell is in the end zone. But the flag at the 27 is augmented by a flag after the score, out of the end zone. The second flag, as Cannell is hurt, and that's got to be a very late hit that put Albert Cannell down. I mean, he's 20 yards off the playing field over there on what used to be the track. Still not sure about his right elbow or forearm. Here's what happens at the end of the scoring run.
Throws him down.
That is Jeremy Bunch, and that's not even near the playing field.
And landing on that warning surface out there is, that thing is hard, and he hit on that elbow, and hopefully it's just a bruise on the elbow. This is an excellent route. Catches the ball and then turns on the speed, goes back to the ball. 2 receivers in the same area, but unlike with Tulsa, this turned into a touchdown if it stands.
Now, there was the first penalty flag back near the line of scrimmage.
Holding on the offense, 10-yard penalty.
And that goes against the Aggies.
Okay, there'll be another penalty on top of that for Tulsa.
I've got a dead ball foul, personal foul on the defense, first down.
And that's a gain of 5 yards. It's a 10-yard loss if it's from the line of scrimmage on the holding, and 15-yard for the personal foul.
Cannell sacrifices his right elbow for a net of 5 yards.
That could be a very, very costly injury, because he has proven today to be of the caliber that A&M is going to have to go for their Southwest Conference Championship and the National Championship.
And again, he's playing because the man ahead of him, Chris Sanders, is serving a suspension this week for failure to attend class. 1st and 10, 21-yard line of Tulsa. McRae in motion. Gene Lowry replaces Cannell. McElroy finds his way inside the 5 to the 1. More yards on a late power surge by Electric Leland. Well, we have seen every bit of his talent, haven't we? We've seen the flat-out speed, the vision.
Watch this block by number 76, Chris Rushman. He gets over and right in the area, and then, of course, that's a strong, strong run by Leland McElroy.
More defenders got to figure that's just not fair. A guy with 4.27 speed in the 40 who can also run through you. 5'11", 202, 218 all-purpose yards today for Leland McElroy. Detron Smith turned away just shy of the goal line, about a foot shy. 2nd and goal for A&M. Well, the one area where he hasn't done a whole lot of damage today is where he used to have to do all his damage, and that's in the kickoff return capacity.
And a roar goes up from the crowd. Give it to Leland. That's a pretty good vote. Pretty good suggestion.
That far from what would be his 4th touchdown. But whistles blow prior to the exchange between Pullard and McElroy. Flag was thrown way over near the far sideline.
Dead ball foul. False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty.
That's 3 touchdowns called back in the last 3 minutes.
Nickens first. Albert Cannell. Now McElroy, all robbed.
That's right.
All robbed by the flags.
Well, the truth of the matter is somebody actually did something, or else it would have been in there. We had some form of illegal motion. I didn't catch it, but was probably a lineman moving his hand. I didn't see anybody in the backfield.
Marker just inside the 6. Still goal to go on 2nd down. McElroy with that great leg drive inside the 1 and did not quite get the ball over the goal line. 2 feet shy will bring up 3rd and goal.
Watch James Brooks, number 78, on this play as he gets to the line of scrimmage. Watch him drive his man off the line of scrimmage and creates a big gap for Leland to go through. And then he just keeps twisting, turning, and driving toward the goal line.
Big Chris Ruman, sophomore from Houston, Nimitz, 290-pounder. Ian Collins, the biggest of the blockers. One more for McElroy, and he's in for his 4th touchdown of the afternoon.
No flags.
Yes, at last, a touchdown that will remain a touchdown. McElroy with 2 through the air and now 2 through the ground. And it's 37-3 A&M. For the extra point case to hold for Kyle Bryant. Perfect on the year and just squeezes that one inside the right upright. So a run of 38 unanswered Aggie points. 11:05 to go, 3rd quarter. Ball is blown off the tee. That nice, cool north wind for a time had turned around and was coming out of the southwest, and it's turned around again. Can't make up its mind. It's again out of the north, and the fans are all in favor of that. The cooler, the better. Temperature expected to be in the low 90s. And out of a hole, the kick by Ryan Tillins down to the 3-yard line. That return ends abruptly for Anthony Smith after 16 yards. Andrew LaCrone delivering a big hit. And another mark-off indication against Texas A&M.
That kind of score, you got to have special young men to bounce back from that.
This kick high and very short. And the return of about 15 yards, again by Anthony Smith. Well, Florida State and Auburn and some other programs have admitted that they feel 60 to 70 points in the minds of a lot of voters is necessary to maintain their rankings. What is R.C. Slocum's philosophy on that?
We're not going to change our philosophy because someone somewhere thinks that maybe we should. The reasons, first of all, I think there is a sportsmanship obligation that I have as the head coach that if we have an opponent beaten, that I'm not going to try to rub his face in it.
Pass by Degar. Maybe a gain of 2 if they're lucky, and the catch made by John Mosley, brought down by Reggie Brown. Well, 38-3, still long time to go, 10-plus minutes, third quarter. At what point, if you're R.C. Slocum, do you start looking at your second and third and maybe even fourth teamers?
Well, I think that comes about in the latter part of the third quarter or in the fourth quarter for sure, if he can maintain the momentum that his offense and defense is now displaying.
Mosley interrupted rather rudely by Teufel McMullen and Dennis Allen. The safeties meet at the ball carrier. Defensive starting unit for the most part still in for Phil Bennett.
Yeah, this is the starting defensive unit, and these two starters react to a big hole in the defensive line and close it rather rapidly, short of a first down.
And the preliminary holding indication against Tulsa. I don't know if you can defend the mentality that says if you have a 60-point win, that's not enough, or in this case, goodness, 63. Holy cow, that's a new scoring record for Florida State now, 77 points.
Second down.
Against a team that was in a lot of preseason top 25 rankings. But Penn State last week won and dropped 4 spots. So the coaches who have the run-it-up mentality can look at that game and use it to defend their philosophy and say, look, for a lot of the voters, winning isn't enough by itself anymore. You have to do it by the most points possible.
Unfortunately, the polls are key to who gets in the Alliance bowl games, and sometimes voters look at that. I don't believe coaching voters do as much as maybe the media type voters do. AP poll and the coaches poll are the two separate polls.
John Mosley, third team running back, getting a workout here in the quarter. Dat Wynn makes the stop. Didn't take Wynn long to earn his spot in the starting lineup in just his second collegiate game. Great instincts.
Wonderful story about that young man. His family are fishermen down on the coast of Texas, came from Vietnam. He was born just either prior to getting here or just as they got here, and has learned to play the game of American football.
Edward Jasper on the sack of Troy Degar.
Old Troop. He's from Troop, Texas, and when he first came here, Dave, the upperclassmen sort of nickname everybody, and they started calling him Troop because he was from Troop, Texas. He said the underclassmen came in the next year and thought that was his name, so he's got stuck with the name Troop.
You know, I've heard much worse nicknames. You could do a whole lot worse than just Troop.
Football players are notorious for giving each other nicknames.
Huge punt. Delosier is sending this one all the way to the 13-yard line, where Mickens, who's had 2 big interception returns, one of which called back, would have been a 51-yard touchdown. This one goes 15 yards after a 59-yard punt by Delosier. 8:35 in the third quarter. He's checked it in for today. Bolig remains the quarterback. On play action has play. And the tight end who got his first collegiate score in the first half. Gain of about 6 before the hit by Malcolm Williams.
Anytime Pulig is faking the football to Leland McElroy, you're going to have some flow going in his direction. So, you know, any type of a counter-type action, either a reverse or a quarterback rollout, as was that the case, then you're gonna have some open people because they're going to flow to McElroy.
Play good for 6, 2nd down and 4. Danny McCray all the way through in motion. And McElroy still with some moves left in him. A first down to the 42. McElroy nearing, and in fact with that carry surpassing the 100-yard mark. 22 carries, 107 and counting for Leland McElroy.
The Texas A&M maintains possession and goes down and scores on this drive. Then you were asking about when RC would probably pull the group off. Would be about that time. About one more touchdown and one more drive, killing some clock, and you get into the 4th quarter and you let some others play, because that's RC's philosophy, and I agree with it.
Huge hole on the right side. That's 9 more for Leland. His 229 against LSU. Good for only 3rd nationally in the rushing column. Hard to believe there are 2 backs anywhere averaging more than 229 yards per game, even as early as it is in the season.
The quarterback for Navy, playing against SMU last week in his first start, had 250 yards the first half. The quarterback rushing did. So he was one of the 2 ahead of Leland McElroy.
Bolig play action. Deep. Cannell back and way over the wrong shoulder, but it's good to see that Albert Cannell is back after he took the nasty spill on the track on the late hit by Jeremy Bunch.
Defense responded well to that deep throw because it was a natural thing for an offense to do. It's 2nd and 1. You got a throwaway play, try to get it to the end zone, but secondary had him well covered, and I'm not sure Pulig didn't just see that and throw it out of bounds.
Classic long passing situation on 2nd and short. Now 3rd and still just a little less than 1 needed. Pulig will do it himself for the first period. So A&M surpassing the first 2 tests on their schedule, and a lot of people think if they get past the Buffaloes at Colorado next week, with the conference schedule still remaining and one more non-conference game, that their schedule as it compares to the Florida States and Nebraska favors them above the other 2 to become the eventual national champions. Well, plenty of people who want to have something to say about that.
Well, there is, and people nationally can look at that and say, well, the conference schedule is not that strong. You know, Texas Tech didn't have a good game in the Cotton Bowl last year. You know, Baylor, you know, ended up with a pretty good season last year, but Texas. But those 3 teams are going to be very, very strong foes for Texas A&M in this conference. And anybody that thinks that they're just going to have to throw their helmet out on the field has another thing coming. I think this conference, Dave, is about as strong as it's been in the last 4 or 5 years.
Every one of those 3 schools you just mentioned, they're convinced they're much stronger than last year.
No question about it, and they are. Look what Texas Tech did to Penn State.
Baylor did basically the same thing to Tulsa that A&M is in the process of doing. That's just about to get underway at home against Pittsburgh. McElroy weaving for another first down inside the 35-yard line, and his numbers look better. Flag is down. If it stands, it's a gain of 12 more yards. But it'll come back on another holding call against A&M.
Dave, just remember this. Anytime that guy in the black hat right there in the middle watching the center and the guards throws that flag, you it's fixing to be holding on the offense.
Holding. 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
from the mark of the holding, it really cost A&M. They were inside the 35. Now they're all the way back at their 44-yard line. And it's 2nd and 20. Under 6 minutes, 3rd quarter, 38-3 Aggies. Pullig looks up, and incomplete, batted away, intended for Lowry. He threw it late. Lowry, for about the last 15 yards of that pattern, was wide open, and then Williams came over and on a slightly underthrown pass was able to make the deflection.
The ball is not thrown far enough, and Williams comes in and makes a good deflection on the ball and saves long completion.
3rd and 20. Pullig, who hit his first 11 passes, is 1 for 5 this half after 11 and 12 in the first half. Shotgun on 3rd and 20. Screen set up nicely for McElroy with the cutback. First down. Keeps his balance to the 10-yard line. 46 yards. That's the best of the day. That's one of the best you'll ever see. Grant, this looks like it might possibly go 10 yards or so.
Yeah, a 10-yard play is what you would expect on something like that, but if you look down on the field, you saw nothing but bodies. First of all, Leland did a good job getting up in the line, good blocking on the outside, and then he just makes the cuts. But there are bodies thrown across the field. You just look back, and there were about 7 guys with white shirts on laying on the field because of good blocking and because Leland left them laying.
All wondering what happened to him. Timeout call by the Aggies. They mark it just outside the 11, not quite 1st and goal.
Aggie basketball was certainly.
Actually, yes, and you've been around him, and you know it. He was just as humble and just a real good person.
This is Hardiman, and DeAndre Hardiman has his first collegiate touchdown. Freshman from Galena Park. One of the top running backs in Texas last year, DeAndre Tiki Hardiman, has 44 on the board for the Aggies.
It's amazing, John David, to see somebody with that kind of talent and ability, as humble as he is, and such a team person. And I mean, it's real. It's not, you know, well, I'm going to act like it's my team. He is real.
All you have to do is be around his folks, his brother out at Sacramento State, or his father. That you know that it's genuine. It's not it's not a put on. He's that way all the time.
Well, McElroy's backup did the job that time. DeAndre Hardiman with the touchdown run to make it 45-3. 5 minutes and 17 seconds still to go. 3rd quarter. Kind of an increasingly popular process around some of the bigger athletic programs in the country.
First up.
This kick return to the 22-yard line by number 27, Jason Jacoby. And what we're talking about is endowed scholarship positions. You're looking for every position on the field to be permanently endowed for that scholarship.
Yes. Well, not for the scholarship. We have a scholarship endowment through the 12th Man Foundation through our priority seating. What we're doing now is we're endowing our football team for each position as far as their equipment, travel, everything that it takes for him to participate on the field to play. Has nothing to do with academics, because we have that covered. And we're trying now to endow each position as far as putting them on the field, having them ready to play.
Well, that's a big number, too, Dave, when you start scholarshiping and then the equipment and the academic support that youngsters have to have now. That's a lot of money, and boy, that's a great thing to endow.
It's a situation, Grant, that that now that's what we're doing. That academic support system, as you well know, has grown over the past 4, 5, 6, 7 years to a level that you really have to work hard to be able to afford to do the things that we need to do.
No question about it. And it takes a lot of money to do it because of the computers and the extra help that you have, the personnel. Oh, yeah. It takes a lot of money.
It sure does. By the way, before we get too far along here, I didn't recall us having color pictures when I was playing. Y'all must have speeded that up and worked on that quite a bit to make that thing look the way it did.
Flags down and obvious early movement. It was colorized. You've seen the movies like It's a Wonderful Life. You know, they were shot black and white.
Well, John David, also, you could tell they ran that thing at a slower speed, don't you think?
Yeah, it looked slower to me. It looked like slow motion to me.
Dead ball foul.
No, Grant, you know that's not true.
5-yard penalty.
Well, for the folks who come out here to Kyle Field, just outside that north end zone is a statue of the original 12th man, E. King Gill, and you've got a wall where you honor and signify each of the endowments.
Yes, the university was kind enough to allow us to build what we call the wall of granite on either side of our 12th man statue, and we put the names of the donors in granite there at each position, and we have a offensive and a defensive formation that's drawn out in that and have a plaque sort of thing or decals to put up there to signify the different positions.
Big loss for Solomon White. Before we let you go, I got to get your thoughts on the Southwest Conference closing business at the end of this year.
Well, I think that it's for the people that have been involved in it and for years, and it's a very sad moment. But I think that you look at what we need to do. The world has gotten smaller as far as I was concerned. So you had to do something to try to get the TV. I mean, let's be honest. It's not, as some people might say, well, is it just for the dollar? But you do have to look at your financial responsibilities. And I think that's basically the reason that we are in the league that we're going to be in next year. And I think it's very, very good for us in Baylor and the schools that are in it. And by the way, and I also think that it's very good for TCU and Rice and SMU also. I think being in the WAC is going to help them by far.
And they'll be in the same quadrant with this Tulsa team next year.
Yeah, and I think it'll be good. I haven't talked to Coach Caff about that, but I really think that it's really going to work out really good for all of us.
I agree. I think, losing the conference hurts everybody, but I think this is really a good scenario for all the teams that they got a chance to go on and compete and do extreme.
Right there. He already fielded.
Yep. That is not good.
Hamstrings tend to hang around for a while.
Yes, they do. But that looks like what it was. There's Mickens, who came off on the previous play, limped off the field. So I don't know what's happened to him.
Well, the good news apparently for Mickens is that no one's working on him. So apparently he's able to shake it off. Mullen is being carted into the locker room. Meanwhile, first down Tulsa. There goes Teifel. So you talked about it. That's one of the gambles that a coach has to weigh. How long do you leave people in? How big does the score have to be? 2:50 in the third. First and 10 Tulsa, their 46-yard line. Egar's pass batted into midair, and he bats it the rest of the way, and then the late hit will be signaled against A&M. Brad Crowley, the defensive end, is called for the hit against Degar, who had batted his own pass down to the AstroTurf. Crowley had to wonder if Degar was going to catch that, so he had to be prepared to make a defensive
Dead ball
play.
foul. Personal foul on the defense. First down.
But as it turned out, no defensive play was needed. Look at this. 6 seconds to go at Alabama, and Arkansas, which led early, then fell down, has regained a 1-point lead at 20-19. Alabama's struggles continue.
College football. 2 weeks ago, was it? They lost to SMU unceremoniously up in the Cotton Bowl, and then they beat a very fine South Carolina team by about 50 points, and now upsetting Alabama.
SMU hanging within 6-0 of Oklahoma in the second quarter. Degar going deep. Incomplete through the hands of Marshall Gordon. Briefly looked like a catchable ball in the corner of the end zone. It's over in Alabama. You know, the Crimson Tide has skirted disaster so often the last couple of years that was bound to happen.
Right wide open, an excellent throw, and right between his arms. He had plenty of time to throw then. That helped him.
Couple of nice spins after a cut outside. And Reggie Williams is near the first down marker. Certainly the biggest win in the Danny Ford era at Arkansas.
Yeah, no question about it. And, you know, you mentioned this, but Alabama has, from the beginning of the season, had those very close calls with teams that maybe they weren't supposed to be that close. But they were able to pull them all out, and it looked like they'd pull this one out, but Arkansas had something else left up their sleeve.
Alabama pull an Auburn and go undefeated in their probation season. Williams tripped, but should have the first of the 28. Clock rolling inside of 2 minutes, third quarter. Well, the most schizophrenic team so far has got to be SMU. They beat an Arkansas team that's good enough to beat Alabama, but they turn around and lose to Navy by 31. And they're hanging fairly close so far in Norman, Oklahoma.
You know, another team that wasn't mentioned a moment ago, Dave, when we were talking about that the Aggies have with the Southwest Conference, and that is a Rice team that came on very strong last year under Kenny Hatfield, and they have played very, very good football. They started out very strongly this year, and they could definitely be a factor in this conference race.
Back-to-back winning seasons, interrupted last year by 5 and 6. But they ended their decades-long losing streak to Texas. Williams battling to the 27, and another flag is down. Don't forget, Grant and I will announce the Dodge player of the game at the conclusion of our telecast. Could go one of two ways at this point. McElroy and Pulley have both been superb. Well, another flag against A&M for face masking.
Pulley has been very impressive. Of course, so is Leland. You can't question that.
On the defense. Replay down. First down.
Notre Dame rolling it up big against Vanderbilt. They get Texas up in South Bend next week. Texas underway and scoreless in Austin against Pitt, which they defeated only 30-28 last year at Pitt Stadium. Gordon is inside the 20. He needed the 19 on what was 1st and 3 and didn't quite get there. It'll be second down.
Aggie defense really pursues the ball very well. You look, and there's always 4 or 5 guys around that football, and they get there real quickly. This is a fast defense that converges on the football.
Williams straight up the gut and reaches the A&M 12. Golden Hurricane trying to get their first touchdown of the day. Wind is shifted again. It's in their faces. Well, they might as well let time run out and get it at their backs. We get in the fourth quarter. 45 and counting in the third. Reggie Williams stepping out of the ankle tackle. and just outside the 10-yard line.
Sometimes the weekends don't go like we plan as coaches. Yesterday, Tulsa was supposed to arrive here about 3 yesterday afternoon. They didn't leave Tulsa until about 7:30 last night, and so it sort of threw their schedule off. They didn't get to come to the stadium to walk through or let the players see the stadium until this morning.
Ugar just ahead of the blitz. Reggie Williams to the 8-yard line. It'll be 3rd down when the 4th quarter begins in just a moment. That is the end of the 3rd quarter. Tulsa, which led early 3-0, has surrendered 45 unanswered points to number 3 Texas A&M. Early movement by Mark Lippy on the left side, the tight end, and it also looked like Michael Kedzior, 89, the flanker, moved before the snap. And a detail-oriented coach like Dave Rader absolutely hates to see that, but is that more of a risk with a no-huddle type system such as the one he runs, or should it be?
Should not be at all. They've been doing this for a couple of years. They do it in spring. They do it in their fall practice. Every ball game. Now it was just an anticipation down on the goal line. Whether they had huddled or not huddled, that young man is going to jump off sides.
So on 3rd and 12, Solomon White chased down by Reggie Brown. The Aggie linebackers, who can run to just about any running back they go up against, chase down White. And at the 8-yard line, Tulsa will look at 4th down.
This is one of the better passes that he's thrown. He laid it out perfectly for the running back. Good defense. Number 46, Brown. Reggie has played well all day, and he's right, Johnny, on the spot.
Tulsa obviously going for it. On 4th and 6. To the end zone for Kedzior. He caught it, and he brought a foot down. Amazing. Touchdown, Tulsa at last. Michael Kedzior, who had a game-winning touchdown catch against Oklahoma State with 16 seconds left last week.
Last week they had 3 touchdown passes in the last 8 minutes to come from behind and beat Oklahoma State, but they're going to have more than that one pass to get back in this ball game. But it was well executed, and it was an excellent catch.
Now the try for 2. White is the setback, and will head left. And not even come close. First man there, Chris Colin for A&M. Here is the touchdown catch, and what a job by Kedzior to get a foot down.
And watch the corner of the end zone. It's very good control. Gets that foot down well inside the outside out of bounds marker and makes the touchdown.
Great call by the official right there on the play. Tulsa victimized by 2 Mickens interceptions. Leland McElroy, 116 rushing, 128 receiving, 4 touchdowns, and 424 total yards for the Aggies offensively today. Parker, 8 yards deep. Wisely will take a knee. We haven't seen Sir Parker running back today. He was listed second team behind McElroy and ahead of DeAndre Hardiman, who scored the last touchdown for A&M.
RC thinks this young man, Sir, is going to be an outstanding player. He's from California and thinks he's got the speed and the toughness to turn into a good player. And being able to be an apprentice to one of the great running backs in the history of the conference won't be a bad deal for him.
Well, as you saw, McElroy's done, so is Corey Pullig, and the new quarterback for Texas A&M, true freshman, like Pullig from Deer Park, Kevin Tolan. And this is Hardiman breaking a tackle, heading up the sideline. First down, Tulsa's 49-yard line, 31 yards for the Andre Hardiman.
Well, here's two young guys in there. Hardiman stiff arms and drives right up that sideline. He doesn't have the speed that Leland has.
Take a play off, Coach. Take a nice long drink of water. Now try.
It's been a long game.
A little bit better. Sir Parker at last gets his number called. And Sir should have another Aggie first down. Both true freshmen, Parker from L.A. and Hardiman from Galena Park.
Now here's a situation where obviously RC has substituted, but you don't tell those young men that go in that have been working hard in two-a-days and getting their opportunity to go out and just play softly. They're going to give it everything they have, and when you catch a team like Tulsa that's beginning to tire, you're probably going to see another touchdown or two by these young players.
Parker and Tulsa reacting extremely well to drop him for a 2-yard loss. Another true freshman in the backfield at fullback is Mark Broyles, 33. So the youth of today, the future of the Aggie offense, on display in the fourth quarter for R.C. Slocum.
It's also great team morale for those youngsters to get in the game. They've been working hard. Many times they've been working as demonstration players. And to get in a game and get to actually play before the home crowd is a great thrill.
Colin spinning away from trouble. And another first down to the 23-yard line. 16 yards on the reception for Dante Hawkins, number 37.
That's a freshman backfield out there, Dave. All freshmen.
Everywhere you look, true frost. There's the Arkansas upset. Georgia finishes off New Mexico State. 49 in the first half for Nebraska. Just outrageous offensive numbers being run up around the country. Instead, extra yardage for Parker. Tremendous balance. And Oklahoma with its third field goal. Now 9-0 on SMU. Well, we asked Leland McElroy if he were to look back on January 3rd after all the bowls, what in his mind would constitute a perfect 95 season?
Perfect season is if we're 12-0 and we've been to Fiesta Bowl and we played well and we won a national title.
You didn't mention Heisman.
No, I didn't. And, I'll be content if I don't win the Heisman, man. We do well as a team.
Parker to the 10. And McElroy is probably one of the few people that you can hear that from and figure that he's actually sincere.
Yeah, he's not just talking, because that sounds good and you'd want somebody to say that. That's his background. His father has been very strong in that area, making sure that he is not only a disciplined young man, but an humble person. And he's got an older brother that has seen to it that he's the kind of young man that he is.
Lee Jr. Parker weaving his way to the 1. First and goal to go. From the 10, turns into second and goal after 1 for Sir Parker. McElroy is content to play the cheerleader role from here on in.
Good blocking up front, but just a real good outside run. He's got good speed, quickness, lateral movement, and gets close to that goal line. He's wanting that bad. You could tell he wanted to score.
Mark Broyles it is who gets the score.
Big freshman fullback.
Just his second collegiate carry. Goes for a touchdown. So the Aggies crack 50. But as you saw, they're being left in the dust of people like Florida State. Nebraska has 63 at the half against Arizona State. Mercy. Penn State near 70. Tough to keep up with the Joneses this week in the top 10. Another extra point. 52-9.
Great isolation on the fullback, just hammers it in there.
A group effort by the freshmen of Texas A&M still early in the fourth quarter. Blowing out Northeastern Louisiana in their warm-up for their meeting with the Aggies in Boulder next week. That should be something. That may tell a great deal of the tale nationally, even though we're still in September. The two legitimate national title contenders. And a return to the 28-yard line by Jason Jacoby. Tulsa sets up from there. Last time they had it, they finally got their first and so far only touchdown of the day, and they keep, for the most part, their starting offensive unit in. Tennessee taking a lead in the first quarter, as does Pitt in Austin, 7-0. Pittsburgh has had a number area west of the Mississippi River. Solomon White to the 29-yard line. Philip Myers there to make the tackle. And a net loss of 1, 2nd and 11. Kyle Field, most of the 60,000 who were here at the beginning are still here. One thing about the Aggies, they stick around, most of them, for the entirety. This looked like illegal motion. There's plenty of time on the snap clock, so I don't think it's delay of game.
False start. Offense. Repeat the down.
This makes it 28 consecutive wins at Kyle Field for Texas A&M. That's the longest home winning streak currently alive in the nation. It's the 9th best ever. And they tie Michigan, which had 28 straight, from 1969 to 73. One of the top 10 home winning streaks in the history of college football. Solomon White again to the 27.
Corey Pullig stepped into the record books today as well, Dave, with this victory, placing him as the #1 winning quarterback in the history of the Texas Aggies.
Right, he's the winningest, and if you look at every other category except interceptions, he is no worse than 3rd. Completions, percentage, attempts, yards, touchdowns, top 3 everywhere across the book for Texas A&M in their history. In and out of the hands, and as a matter of fact, in and out of the hands of Shun Horn, who almost had the interception, almost brought in by Kedzior, and then Horn, the freshman from Jasper, that close to an interception.
Shun was also injured and has been out for about 8 days and came back the latter part of this week to step in and be a backup in the secondary. Now he's having to play, and with some injuries out there, he may be called on a lot more next week.
Well, we've got enough. He's been invited to the Hula Bowl, fine senior from Springfield, Missouri. Very high and fair caught at the 27. By Ray Mickens, 46 yards for DeLozier, 9:56 to go in penalty. True freshman Kevin Colin getting his 2nd series at quarterback for A&M. The Deer Park connection. Kevin, his brother Chris, and Corey Pullitt, all from that fine program. Hardiman up to the 30-yard line. R.C. Slocum in his 7th year at Texas A&M. And Grant, when he took over for Jackie Sherrill, do you think that the general feeling among Aggie fans was, well, we liked him as an assistant. I don't know if he can continue the level that Jackie has established here. And not only has he continued it, he has far surpassed it. That's the best winning percentage of any active coach in college football with more than 5 years.
Anytime an assistant moves up, particularly where there's a lot of familiarity with him, he had been a coach here for many, many years. In fact, he came to A&M the same time I came to Baylor in 1972. And I'm sure there were many people that were skeptical, but those of us that knew him as an assistant coach knew that he had the characteristics, the quality, and I think the character to do what he needed to do here at Texas A&M. When he took over, they had some problems. They were having some probation problems, and he took over and ran the program the way it should be run. Even when they were on their last probation, his demeanor and the way he handled things was respected by all that I know. And he's come out of that not only as one great coach with a great record, but with a lot of national respect.
Hardeman and a fumble at the end of that run picked up by Tulsa. Golden Hurricane take it at the 35-yard line. Jeremy Bunch, number 3, the safety. Hardeman very close to ending that run. His knee was almost on the turf when he coughed it up. And I think that really bothered R.C., the perception that, well, another probation is business as usual at Texas A&M, because from 1989, when he took over as head coach, he tried to make it anything but what had been business as usual.
He's been very forthright and above board in everything that he's done, and made everybody know and understand that he was going to run the program a certain way, and I think he's gained a lot of respect from that. He certainly is a great recruiter. That goes without question, and a very accomplished football coach.
Short gain, if anything, for John Mosley. Andre Williams not at full speed, but they're just happy he's playing. He had a partial ligament tear. They thought he might, in fact, have to have surgery and be done. He is playing, although at the moment he's limping. Sean Horn on the other side had a kidney problem. They thought they might miss him for a while, but he's able to go today after practicing each of the last 2 days. Mosley inside the 30. In fact, you have to, I think, compare the ability to recruit that R.C. Slocum has shown over the number of years to that which Darrell Royal had established through the 60s and 70s at Texas. Is that a fair comparison?
No question about it. From the time 1974, when we beat Texas for the first time in 19 years at Baylor, there had been really no dominance for the conference until R.C. came in, and his teams in the last few weeks or the last few years have begun to truly dominate the conference. They haven't lost a conference game in, what is it now, 4 or 5 years? I'd say that's dominant.
That is a huge hit by Warwick Holman. Out of Alif Elsick, freshman outside linebacker. Yeah, the conference loss that began this streak was 1 point at Texas in 90. Since then, only a tie by SMU last year. Fourth and 4 for Degar. It is incomplete. Intended for Lyndon Nixon, number 2, man with a politically schizophrenic but interesting name out of Grand Prairie. In his hands and then out, and the Aggie defense holds with 7:07 to play. Yeah, Lyndon Nixon. I was hoping that the backup quarterback John Fitzgerald would get a chance to throw to Lyndon, and we'd have the 60s completely covered politically. Next week, Southwest Conference game of the week from Raleigh, North Carolina, Baylor and NC State, noon Central Time. Hope you can join us. Tulsa unloading on Broyles. The big hit delivered by Coco Butler on the freshman. Baylor has a big one at home tonight against, we just mentioned, Jackie Sherrill, Mississippi State, at Floyd Casey Stadium in Waco. Can you make it back in time?
We'll probably get back maybe in the first quarter. I'm interested to see that game. I have not seen Baylor play, and then we're doing the game next week, so it'll give me a chance to scout them out and see if they're as good as they looked against Tulsa.
Matt Mahone from Longview, the injured Aggie. There have been a disturbing number of limp-offs in this second half, and a game that has not been in doubt since the second quarter. That's happened a whole lot today. Butler trying to anticipate the snap count. Cornelius, the senior from Henderson, Texas, for at least the third time, called for jumping offside.
You know, Dave, you don't always know, but sometimes a very astute center will catch a guy like that that's real desirous of getting off the ball real quick, and he'll go to the line of scrimmage, place his hands gently on the ball, and then just squeeze them down a little bit, and guys will take off like a skyrocket if they're watching the ball.
So the solution, don't watch the ball anymore.
No, you got to watch the ball. You just don't move when somebody squeezes.
Upended after first down yardage. Nice run by number 13, Michael Williams. Jeremy Bunch on the tackle. So the Aggies and their offensive coordinator, Steve Ensminger, are getting very deep into the roster. Something they hoped they would be able to do today. They've gone 4 and 5 deep in a lot of positions. Aaron Oliver, a freshman from Arlington, number 1, is in top of the screen at wideout. Williams ankle tackle by Bunch at the 46. Aaron Oliver just came in, the son of Al Oliver, the longtime first baseman, outfielder for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Texas Rangers, Montreal Expos, among others, one of the great hitters of recent memory. .520 and counting at Kyle Field. Short drop, stolen, incomplete. That one intended for Dante Hawkins. (52-9). For an A&M team which will go to 2-0 on the heels of 10-0-1 last year. R.C. Slocum's 61st career victory as the head coach here. He had already become the fastest Southwest coach ever to 60 career wins. Fred Akers won his 60th in Game 3 of his 7th year, and R.C. got there in Game 1 of his 7th year. Williams reaches Tulsa territory. It'll be 4th down, and Sean Terry, for one of the few times today, will be called on to punt it away for A&M. One of the bigger punters you'll see, 6'2", 232.
He gets that leg into that ball, it ought to sail.
They were, once Miami's streak ended, at the hands of Washington last year, Texas A&M took over as the hottest home team in America. Last home loss, 1 point at the hands of Arkansas in 1989. Another timeout. We'll be back in Aggieland. We're back for the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, who take over after the touchback on their 20. 4:33 to play. Troy Degar had gone all the way until now, and it's Jones, a senior from Claremore, Oklahoma, who is in charge at the moment. Jones last year came in after Degar was injured. Had a season-ending injury on Game 2 of last year to Degar's knee, and it was Jones who took over and did fairly well. 64% completion rate. Finished that game where Degar was injured against Missouri by scoring the game-winning touchdown. Began his career at Ole Miss. Transferred over. John Mosley getting a nice second-half workout. Backup tailback. It'll be 3rd and 5. Clock rolling. 3:40 and counting. Tulsa will fall to 1-2 in 1995. Their only win last week by 1 over Oklahoma State. 0-2 against the Southwest. Deflected, almost intercepted. Broken up by 55, Jimmy Irby, who, had he turned just a hair sooner, might have had an interception and an easy route for 6 points.
Jimmy could have had his dreams fulfilled if that ball had hit him just right, because he would have been a skip into the end zone. A lineman's dream.
Lozier may be the outstanding player of the day for Tulsa. Had a couple go off the side of the foot, but for the most part, he's been outstanding. 38-yarder this time. Our Dodge player of the game has had his shoulder pads off for about a quarter and a half now. Leland McElroy ran for 116, caught passes for 128 yards, returned kicks for 41, and scored 4 touchdowns.
That's a very good day.
Did nothing to hurt his Heisman campaign.
No, not at all. Well, he is very strong quality in all of those areas, and when you can get those characteristics in one player, you've got a Heisman potential.
Evan Colin remains the quarterback. It's Sir Parker's turn at tailback. Look at the moves by the freshman. Still going. Parker to the 35 of Tulsa. 28 hard-fought yards.
Sir Parker is a special player as well. He's got some of those unique moves that only good running backs have. Good block downfield, good cut. Gets in the grasp of the offensive lineman and goes down.
This guy won't be 18 years old till Halloween.
That's spooky.
Parker with great balance and then hit hard by Butler. Boy, Cornelius Butler still pursuing on the losing end of the 52-9 score, and you have to respect that. Parker a little bit shaken up by this hit, replaced by DeAndre Hardeman.
I want to put in a good word for Corey Pullig. There's no question that Leland McElroy deserves the player of the game in this game, but nothing happens unless Corey Pullig pulls the trigger. He's the guy that starts it all, and he has really handled himself beautifully today. I think it's been an outstanding game for him, ball as well as being the general on the field.
Well, the onslaught continues. Hardeman is inside the 10, and it's first and goal. Is Corey, who was 13 of 18 today for 272 yards and 3 touchdowns. Next week, don't forget, at Colorado, A&M and the Buffaloes in what will be one of the most entertaining games anywhere this year. Now in the second quarter in Austin, still tied at 7. SMU continues to hang with Oklahoma. Hardeman couldn't get away from Bunch. Tried to put the move on him, and Bunch did the right thing, went right for the ankles.
Dave Bunch has made a lot of tackles today. Should we say he's made a bunch of tackles?
He has.
Okay.
Go ahead and say it. If you're going to say ghost of a chance for Sir Parker, I think you can say that about Jeremy. We're inside of 2 minutes. This game has been in hand since midway second period. McElroy had his burst and put it out of reach. Parker inside the 5. Well, I guess there are some coaches who would be reinserting Pullig to throw for a touchdown at this point. But as Wesley Slocum mentioned earlier, not his style.
Nope. Let the young ones play and see what happens. That's still going to be an impressive score nationwide. Any vote you lose off of that, not having 70 points, I feel sorry for the voters that vote like that.
That's got to be somebody who just doesn't know enough about college football.
Absolutely.
More early movement. Spikes for the Aggies. And 96, Tim Martin for Tulsa. We'll see who moved first.
Well, I'm thinking the offensive line for the Aggies lifted a hand. Mr. Spikes, number 73, caused the defensive player to explode upon him.
Cameron Spikes, true freshman from Bryan, Texas. So back at the 10. Clock rolls, 43 seconds. Third and goal. Still on the ground.
Sir Parker to the 5 and hit there. As the clock continues to roll by 94 Justin Rich. And the fans are imploring RC to go ahead and snap it one more time. But it's 4th down, and they're under 10 seconds, and they're not going to snap it.
No, they're going to let it run out.
The job had long since been done, and for R.C. Slocum and the Texas A&M Aggies, an easy win in Game 2 of the 95 season, 52-9 over the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes.
Saturday in
The number 3 team in the country does nothing to endanger that ranking whatsoever.
Looks like the number 1 and number 2 team are going to be 60s plus, and the number 3 team in the 50s. Pretty impressive.
Saturday afternoon, Texas A&M a winner over Tulsa, and Coach, it looked like a very